Welcome to H.A.L.O, Help a Lawyer Out. And today we're going to talk about how you can make your firm more family friendly. And I have some notes, so I'll be looking down on occasion. Um, I think that there are several things that you can do. And some of this came up because I had a friend who had started working with a firm specifically because they talked about how family friendly their firm was. And they talked about how the partners had children, that they were involved in their lives. And she was a single mom for the most part because her partner traveled quite a bit, and so she was the primary caregiver, as well as a really gifted attorney. And one day I was talking to her, and she was in the process of sneaking out to take her child to the dentist. And this flabbergasted me. And this flabbergasted me because specifically she had come to this firm so that she would be able to do these simple everyday things like take your kid to the dentist. And yet, what the firm said and what the culture actually allowed was completely different. And in fact, she had observed several instances where not only other associates would comment disparagingly on anyone who was leaving the office, she had actually saw a partner saying things to an associate, and didn't want to be punished herself. She really was ambitious. She really wanted to move forward. And she was beginning to realize that maybe this firm wasn't the place for her. And she was a little, I don't know, in despair because it's a question of how do you know? Because they said they were family friendly, but in reality, they weren't at all. And I think you find this a lot. You have cultures where the values that they say they espouse, are this, and this, and then she finds out, well, the female partner has not only a, a spouse who is super supportive, but also full time domestic help. They don't take time off during the day because work is the most important. And this sort of thing where it's like, even where you had hope, you find out the reality is different. So I want to give you a chance to create a more family friendly law firm. And when you want this, and it is truly your value, you have to actively and continuously make it happen. And so the first is watch your talk. Watch what you're saying to associates, to other partners, to other members of your firm when it is around family issues. Watch where you are commenting on people, taking a long lunch or that sort of thing. If their performance is suffering, focus on the performance. Focus on what's really an issue. Focus on the things that you notice are happening, like work is coming in late, this sort of thing. Do not focus on people's behavior because, one, that is absolutely not indicative of their actual performance as an employee, as a member of your firm. And two, it creates an environment where people don't feel safe doing the things where you said you was okay to do. And so now you've shown them that you cannot be trusted, that you are dishonest, that you say one thing and then you say something completely different. And so in the moment, you want to be very, very careful to watch your language, and you want to pay attention to the language people are saying to each other. You want to pay attention to the language people are saying them to themselves. If you have an associate coming to you and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I need to leave at 3 o'clock today because it's early pickup day at school and it's like, are you doing your work? Yes. Why would I care if you need to leave at 3 o'clock? Your work is done. You should go and do. I know that you have this track record of getting things done and managing your schedule. I trust you to be a grown up. And this is important. It's important that you be able to go and pick up your kid. Of course. Please don't apologize. Just let me know. Perfect. End. Watch your language, watch other people's language. And when you see people are doing it to each other where you're not involved, speak up. Hey, if she's leaving early today, if she's taking a long lunch and that's important and she's getting her work done, that's fine. I want you to get your work done. I want everyone to pay attention to their own work. Is her leaving early affecting your work? No. Well, then, why are you commenting? Why is that important? So really create this culture with every single person and every opportunity you have to watch what you speak. The second is uh, walk your talk. And this is truly about um, allowing your employees, your associates, your paralegals, and your staff to trust you, that you do what you say. That if you say, we are a family friendly firm, we believe that people are first, we believe that our clients come, then this is the place that um, you have the opportunity to make hard decisions that are in alignment with your values. And so, if you truly believe that your employees' lives are more important than what a client considers urgent, then you can talk to them about how to coach their clients in a way that says, look, our firm values our families. We value the long term. We want to be able to have long legal careers, and we want to be able to serve you in the best way we think possible. And we know that because we care about our families and because we care about each other as a firm, that we will be the best advocate for you, our client, as we can, and we will be the best advocate that you want standing next to you in that courtroom or in this decision. And so it's one of those things where you have the opportunity to be in alignment with your values, with your stated values. You have to step up and be honest and forthright and truthful about who you are and what you believe, and you have to act in accordance with that. So the third is that I think you need to keep talking. This is not something where you get everybody together and you decide on what your values are as a firm and you put it up on the wall and you never do it again. One, every single person in your firm should know exactly what your values are, and they should be able to bring you evidence of those values in a recent experience that they've had in your firm. So if you and every single person in your firm cannot cite at least one piece of evidence of those values being exhibited in the last month, you failed. And I mean, you failed big. And so it is something where you constantly need to keep it top of mind. You need to remember that this is what we believe. This is why we believe it. And here we can show you actual evidence, recent evidence that this is true. It is not something we decided long ago. It's not something we put up on the board or on our website and we're like, oh, yeah, we're so family friendly. And nobody has an example. And so this is about continuing the conversation, about doing it over and over again. The next one is a little controversial, so I'm just going to say it. You have to invite dissension. And I mean, you have to really, really go for it. You have to actively seek it. You want people to tell you all the places that you're failing, all the places that the firm is failing, and all the places that they personally are failing. And this is really challenging, and it is not a one and done thing. It is something that you need to do on a regular basis. In fact, I recommend that people in the beginning do it monthly, but after that, they do it at least quarterly. And you say, look, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we believe. Where are we not being truly family friendly in our firm? And everybody has to decide something negative, and everybody has to say it. And I know it's hard. It is so challenging for many people to speak truth to power. And if you have that power, you have 10 times the amount of responsibility to be able to listen to hard things and accept them and not punish people for saying them or believing them and not say, oh, God, you're so sensitive. And no, none of that can be allowed because, again, then people don't feel safe. Again, you're not acting in alignment with your values. And so this is the place where you want people actively to start talking about this, to talk to you in private if they need to, so that then you can bring it to the group in a way that is beneficial, that is helpful, so that you all can get together and solve the problems. And it is not finger pointy if that's the issue. But truly, it generally isn't one person that is failing the values. It is the fact that the culture finds that acceptable. And if the culture finds that acceptable, then they continue to do. And if it is not acceptable in your culture, you can specifically um, point to an instance and point to specific behavior that is not allowed because it is not in alignment with the values. And I think that the difficulty with some people here is they're like, oh, you always make comments when people leave. Well, that truthfully is not so helpful because making a comment when somebody leaves doesn't actually say anything about why that comment is not okay and why it's not in alignment with the values. And honestly, they don't know how to fix that other than I feel like I've been silenced because you say what I'm saying is not okay. And so if you can then say, if someone else leaving the office at a particular time does not directly affect the work you are doing at that moment, you cannot make a comment, negative or otherwise, that highlights the fact that they're leaving the office. You cannot comment on other people's schedules unless it directly affects your work. And if it directly affects your work, I want you to talk to me, not to them. I don't know. Actually, you might want to train them to talk to them because it's like, okay, you leaving at this time means that I have to take the client meeting alone, which means that da da da, this sort of thing. Good. You leaving at this sort of time, that sucks. You always leave early. No, no, bad, right? It's that the where they're talking about the value rather than the facts. Facts are okay. Value judgment, no. Um, then, finally, to create a culture in your firm to make it truly more family friendly, I think you have to talk about the hard things. And the reason for talking about hard things is that you want to make a decision in advance. For example, what happens if someone in your firm is starting to not perform and consistently they're not performing well? And you find out that part of the reason they're not performing well is that their spouse has received a terminal illness diagnosis. In the moment, that is an incredibly hard place because you, as the firm owner, you truly want to support your employee and you truly want to do the best for your firm, for your clients, for the other associates. And so you have lots of competing priorities. And it is really difficult at that point to say, oh, well, this person usually they've not been that great for the last 6 months, so we're just going to let them go. Or you start, really wanting them to perform more, or that sort of thing. Or you go in the other direction and you're like, oh, they're having a hard time right now, so we're just not going to have any expectations. I think that both of those are a place that leads to such a negative outcome for everyone involved. And so, one of the things you can do is you can have hard conversations as a community in your firm about what do we want to do if in this sort of situation where someone's work is suffering because they have caretaking taking issues or something going on, and you'll know specifically because you will have experienced these if you have any time in your firm, and you can say, okay, what do we want to do next time this happens? Because it's important to us to support our employees. It's important to us to enable our associates to be able to remain employed, but also to caretake and grieve and do all the things that they need to do. And also, it's important to us as a firm to be able to manage the workload we have and the clients we have and not to lose track of our particular matters. And so, what are we going to do in this kind of situation? What can we do? And talk about as many possible solutions as possible, and then create sort of a loose plan. So you can say, um, well, if this comes up, maybe we can associate, we can assign a clerk to work directly with this attorney, and the supervision will be shared, or things like that. And I think there are two difficulties here. It's when you've done this and you have a super clear plan that works, and then you find that the particular situation doesn't need this particular plan, like the solution doesn't solve the problem. And the good the good solutions have some flexibility built into them, because every person who has a spouse who has a terminal diagnosis has a different level of support otherwise that they are receiving, has a different level of ability to work while this is happening. And of course, it changes almost on a daily basis. Um, they have a different kind of timeline. So some people, it's quite a short period of time, and some people, they could be looking at 10 years or more. And so, where you as a firm accommodate, and I use this word very intentionally, where you accommodate those changes, I think needs to be a conversation. It needs to be a conversation in private with the attorney. Um, it needs to be a conversation more generally in the firm. It needs to be a conversation that is ongoing. It is not decided once, but you say specifically, and we're going to meet again next week to see what's working. We're going to meet again next month to see where you are. I want you to come to me in these particular circumstances. And as much as possible, if you can outline specifically circumstances that will change, that are not, if you feel like it's getting too hard, no, because some of us will continue to work past that point, and a lot of us will continue to work way past that point, even if we are only working at 40% capacity, because we can't stop. Like we feel like we have to keep going. We feel loyalty. We feel such a strong bond to our clients. We cannot set that boundary for ourselves if it's just a feeling, because it's like, I push through this kind of weakness. And so what you want it to be is to be very specific, either a date, 1 month from now, I want to revisit this. I want to talk about what you're doing. It can be an instance, for example, when the person goes into hospice or this sort of thing. This is so important, and it gives all of the people in your firm a framework to work around, a place to truly support the person who needs support, but also to create a container for your firm so that everyone in your firm feels like they are being supported. So your other associates don't feel like, oh, well, you're giving Nancy over there all this time off because she has all these problems at home. No, 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 and I'm having to pick up all her slack, and she's still getting paid the same amount as I am. And then, no, you want to create a culture where, one, that doesn't happen, that you don't have associates who feel like they're picking up the slack for someone who is underperforming. You want to create a culture where your attorneys can come to you and speak honestly. You want to create a firm where you have possibilities even for people on partner track, please, please, especially for people on partner track, your ambitious lawyers, your lawyers who have done so much, who, because of circumstances right now in their particular life, need to step off, need to step back. They need to go to 3/4 time or even 1/4 time. They need to take time out entirely and maybe come back after. You want to create a firm where that is acceptable, where that is possible, where that is encouraged, because your people are important, their families are important, but the client work you do and the rest of your firm is also important. And so you create something where you balance all of these needs in a solution that won't be perfect. Truthfully, nothing will be, but will be as considered and discussed and have as much buy-in from other people in your firm as possible. And I feel like you have to talk about it in the moment, because otherwise then you're crafting solutions around how much somebody is liked or how pitiful their situation is, and nothing comes out of that but terrible solutions. So these are some things you can do to make your firm more friendly, right? Watch your talk, walk your talk, keep talking, invite dissension, and talk about the hard things and make decisions in advance. So this has been H.A.L.O, Help a Lawyer Out. If you have a difficulty that you're trying to manage in your firm and you would like some discussion, some help, or you have a question, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. We always check our comments. I read everyone. And I want to hear from you. I want to help. And if you would prefer to go deeper on this issue or something else that you're struggling with in your firm, you can click the link below and schedule a one-on-one with me. It's free. I'd love to hear from you, and happy lawyering.